Because the Democrat Party absolutely does not want to give school choice. Now here's something, I want to connect the dots historically so we could see, actually we could see systemic racism, okay? So there was an entity that started in the early 1800s. And that entity said, you know, we want slavery, we want slavery. And then that entity said, but we also want that when the issues of the Constitution comes up, that we want progressive judges to look beyond the Constitution so they can sort of legislate from the bench and continue to give us slavery, free help with our farms and plantations and all of that. That entity started that and put those judges in place. So when we had things like Dred Scott decisions, and when we had, Jim Crow laws, and we had black codes, and we had, Plessy versus Ferguson, we had all of these things come through, that entity made sure that we had the progressive judges that would rule in an extra constitutional way. Everybody understands what that means here, right? And then that institution says, you know what? Now that we're, the Civil War, Reconstruction, we want to make sure that we have a military arm that really tries to keep blacks in place. Yeah, they're free now but during Reconstruction. So they actually raised a military arm called the KKK. That one entity did that. And so they had the KKK, and so the KKK came around, and they did their bidding for them, and they tried to keep blacks, in this sort of, in their place, right? And then when we came to the early 1900s, then that entity said, you know what? We want to partner with eugenics-based organizations because we really don't like blacks, and we really want to keep them in their place still because that's our history, slavery and Jim Crow and all that stuff. And so they partnered with eugenics organizations that turned into Planned Parenthood. And then that entity in the 1960s, I'm just connecting the dots for you. I hope you follow me, right? Absolutely. And this is all historically is accurate. You can check it out. That entity said in the early 1960s, when we started to get into the civil rights movement, that entity said, LBJ said, you know what? We need to come up with some ways that we can keep these people down, that we can hold them down. And why don't we give them some welfare or something like that? And we kick the fathers, we incent them to make sure that the fathers leave the home, and we tell them that we can't give you a check if the man's still in the house, right? So then that entity did that. And then when we come up now, they say, not only are we still hoping that you don't even make it out the womb, because we're still tied to the eugenics organization that was designed to actually exterminate you guys. But one of the ways that we can keep you dependent so we can make sure that we get your vote, because you're 90%, we need that, is to not allow you to be educated. This is the same thing that as they were slave owners in 1800, it's the same tactic that he used back then, is we can't let people, the slaves, actually be educated, because if they knew, then they wouldn't be dependents and they'd be able to be free thinkers. That entity, of course, is the Democrat Party. Now, I don't know why we as conservatives don't ever talk about defunding the Democrats. No, this is sincere. This is a sincere thing. When are we going to lay to the feet of Democrats their own history that is playing out to this very day and devastating the black community? Now we need, as we in this room, the remnant folks, we need to be adept in that conversation. Thank you. So I'm asking that we learn that, because it's history. It's not hyperbolic, it's not, you try. This is history, folks. And if you're sincere about systemic racism, first thing that you need to do is come with me down memory lane, and we both need to stand up against this party. If you're just a political hack, friend, family, then I understand you're just being political, and you're going to always protect your party, your slave masters. But if you're sincere about systemic racism, let's go down memory lane and let the chips fall where they may, and you stand with me and we defund that party. That's how So that's how we should be able to talk to our friends and families, and that's how we bring them along. God bless you. I'd love to have more conversations with you.